The Story of Everything, as told in the Urantia Book. An overview by Klimesh. Part 1. The Central and Super Universes. How the cosmos is structured and managed. An organized personal universe, evolving in time-space relative to the perfection of the paradise center of all things is described. This creation includes millions of inhabited worlds in various stages of biological, intellectual, social, and spiritual evolution. The nature of God and his relationship to the evolving creation is explored in great detail. Paper 1. The Universal Father. The Universal Father is the first source and center of all things. He is a creator, a controller, and an upholder. All enlightened beings worship God the Father and have one supreme ambition, to become like him. Messengers from paradise carry God's divine command throughout the universes. Be you perfect, even as I am perfect. Humans cannot be perfect in the infinite sense, but can become complete in divinity of will, personality, motivation, and God consciousness. The Father is known by many names, but reveals himself only by nature. God is primal reality and the source of all truth. He is universal spirit, eternal truth, infinite reality, and a loving Father. Affectionate dedication to doing his will is the only gift of true value that humans have to offer God. God is an eternal, infinite, true, good, and beautiful personality beyond the imagination of the human mind. He delights in his children. The manifestations of the universal Father in the local universes are his creator's sons. It is eternally true. He who has seen the Son has seen the Father. God-knowing mortals have within themselves three experiential phenomena that constitute positive proof of God's existence: God consciousness, God-seeking, and the desire to do God's will. God is an eternal power, a majestic presence, and a glorious ideal. He is a perfect personality, a person who can know and be known, love and be loved. Personality is not just an attribute of God, it is the revelation of God to the universes. Human personality is the shadow cast by the divine personality. Mortals view personality from the finite toward the infinite, but God's perspective moves from the infinite to the finite. The human body is literally the temple of God. A divine fragment of the Father dwells within each mortal mind. The benefits received from this presence of the Divine Father are limited only by the mortal's capacity to receive and discern spiritual reality. God participates in the struggle of every imperfect soul in the universe who seeks to ascend. It is true that in all our afflictions he is afflicted, for in him we live and move and have our being. Humans attain divine union through progressive spiritual communion with God and wholehearted, intelligent conformity to his will. Mind yielded to spirit becomes increasingly spiritual and ultimately will achieve oneness with the divine. Paper 2. The Nature of God. Our understanding of God is handicapped because our minds are limited. Humans can best understand the nature of God as it has been revealed through the life and teachings of Jesus. God the Father unfailingly meets the ever-changing demand for himself all over the universe. He knows everything. Universe sovereigns may engage in adventure, the constellation fathers may experiment, the system heads may practice, but the universal Father sees the end from the beginning. To God, all time is present. There is no past or future. He is infinite in all of his attributes. God is perfect. In the universes, perfection is relative, but on paradise, perfection is undiluted. He is perfect in beauty and goodness. There is nothing lacking in his divine character. His justice is tempered with mercy. God is inherently kind, compassionate, and merciful. It is never necessary to persuade him to love us. Our need is wholly sufficient to ensure the flow of his grace. Everything good comes from God. Love is the dominant characteristic of his personality. The highest reason to love God is that he guides us, step by step, life by life, until we stand in his very presence. God literally sends his Spirit to live and toil with us as we pursue the eternal universe career. God is good. He is our eternal refuge. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up the wounds of the soul. It has been said that God loves sinners but hates sin. It is true that God loves sinners, but he has no attitude towards sin because sin is not a spiritual reality. Iniquity is inherently suicidal. The inevitable consequence of deliberate rebellion against God is loss of existence. Divine truth is universal, but our understanding of truth is finite and therefore only relative. Evolving persons can be certain only as far as their own personal experience extends. That which is true in one part of the universe may be only partially true elsewhere. The search for truth requires a search for the creative design that pre-exists all universe phenomena. Truth is both beautiful and good. Beauty is true and good. Goodness is true and beautiful. Health, sanity, and happiness are integrations of truth, beauty, and goodness in the human experience. Paper 3. The Attributes of God. God is omnipresent. He alone can be in numberless places simultaneously. He rules in the local universes through his Creator's sons who are discernible to lower orders of beings and can compensate for God's invisibility. God is greater than all of his combined creations. Although he exists throughout the universes can never encompass his infinity. God pervades the physical universes of the past, present, and future. He is the primordial foundation of material creation. Individually, humans are indwelt by father fragments, and the effective presence of God within each person is conditioned by the degree of cooperation provided. Fluctuations of God's presence are not due to whims of the Father, but are directly determined by the mortal's choice to receive him. God has freely bestowed himself without limit or favor. God is energy. He is the cause of all physical phenomena. He controls all power. The power of God does not function blindly, but it is nearly impossible to explain the nature of his laws. From the limitations of our mortal perspective, many actions of the Creator may seem arbitrary and cruel, but God's actions are always purposeful, intelligent, kind, and wise. God knows all things. He is the only personality who knows the number of all the stars and planets. His consciousness is universal. His circuit encompasses all personalities. God is never subject to surprise. The potential force, wisdom, and love of God is not reduced by his self-bestowal on subordinate creatures and creations. If creation should continue eternally, the power of God's control from the Isle of Paradise would be adequate for such an eternally increasing creation. God would still possess the same potential as if his power had never poured forth into the universe. Likewise, sending father fragments to indwell the mortals of numerous worlds in no way lessens the wisdom and perfection of truth of the all-powerful Father. The nearest approach to God is through love. Finite mind cannot know the infinity of the Father, but it can feel the Father's love. The uncertainties of life do not contradict the universal sovereignty of God. Creature life is beset with certain inevitabilities. To develop courage, we must grapple with hardships. To develop altruism, we must experience social inequality. Hope results from being faced with insecurity, and faith arises when we live in such a way that we know less than we can believe. The love of truth is created only in an environment where falsehood is possible. Idealism comes as we struggle for a better world. Loyalty cannot emerge unless we live with the possibility of betrayal, and unselfishness results only if we have a self-life to forsake. To appreciate pleasure, we must live in a world where pain and suffering are possible. The only evolutionary world without error would be a world without free intelligence. Man must be fallible if he is to be free. The sovereignty of God is unlimited. The universe was not inevitable. It was not an accident, neither is it self-existent. It is subject to the will of the Father. God the Father loves us, God the Son serves us, and God the Spirit inspires us in the adventure of finding the Father. Paper 4. God's relation to the universe. Divine providence is not the childish material ministry that some mortals imagine it to be. Providence is possible due to related activities of spiritual beings who continuously work for the honor of God and for the spiritual advancement of his children. Providence is consistent with the perfect nature of God. The watchword of the universe is progress. God uses unlimited forces and personalities to fulfill his purposes and sustain his creatures. God creates, upholds, preserves, and renews all material and spiritual things. Without God, there would be no such thing as reality. The Father unceasingly pours energy, light, and life into his creations. Much that appears haphazard to the human mind seems orderly and constructive to higher minds, but even high spiritual beings come across apparently fortuitous interassociations of forces, energies, intellects, and spirits. The medley of physical, Mental, moral, and spiritual phenomena in the universes undoubtedly accrue to the glory of God. Nature is the perfection of paradise divided by the evil and incompletion of the unfinished universes. Evolution modifies nature, diminishing the error of relative reality while augmenting the content of paradise perfection. It is wrong to worship nature. Although nature is pervaded by God in a limited sense, it is also a manifestation of the imperfect results of the universe experiment of cosmic evolution. Apparent defects in the natural world do not indicate corresponding defects in the character of God. God is incapable of wrath or anger. These emotions are hardly worthy of human beings, much less of God. God is the only changeless being in existence. He is self-existent and independent. God is all-wise and all-powerful. He has no limits other than those which he imposes on himself. God's absoluteness pervades all levels of universe reality. He is eternally motivated by love. In science, God is the first cause. In religion, God is the universal Father. In philosophy, God is the one being who exists by himself. Human religious thought confuses associated deity personalities with the universal Father himself. This failure to recognize the difference between God the Father and the local universe creators and administrators is a source of great confusion on earth. Mortals also suffer from primitive concepts of God. The idea of appeasing an angry God, of winning the favor of deity through sacrifice and penance represents a repulsive philosophy unworthy of an enlightened age of science and truth. It is an affront to God to teach that innocent blood must be shed to win his favor or divert his wrath. The human race is destined to know the beauty of character of the universal Father, that which was so magnificently portrayed by Jesus when he sojourned on earth. Paper 5. God's relation to the individual. A fragment of God lives within the intellect of every normal-minded, morally conscious human being. This fragment, the thought adjuster, guides mortals unerringly through the spiritual journey that leads into the presence of God the Father in paradise. God yearns for the association of every created being who can love him. Through the indwelling adjusters, we can seek intimate personal communion with God's divine spirit as we advance inward through the ages toward paradise. We cannot fail to attain the destiny God has established for us if we yield to the leading of his spiritual guidance. The indwelling thought adjuster allows us to more fully discern the presence of other spiritual influences. Realization of contact with the adjuster is primarily limited to the realms of the soul. Lack of intellectual consciousness concerning the indwelling fragment does not disprove its existence. Proof of the divine adjuster's work lies wholly in the fruits of the Spirit that appear in the life of the believer. Worship springs from a creature's spontaneous reaction to the recognition of the Father's nature and personality. Prayer contains an element of self-interest, but worship exists for its own sake. Mortals worship God, pray to and commune with the Son, and work out the details of earthly life with the offspring of the infinite Spirit. Non-religious activities seek to bend the universe to the service of self. Religious individuals seek to devote their activities to the service of the universe. Philosophy and art create bridges between non-religious and religious activities by luring people into contemplating spiritual realities. Religious experience is essentially spiritual and cannot be fully understood by a material mind. The realities of religion are beyond mortal capacity of intellectual comprehension. Religious experience unifies human consciousness, promotes philosophic substantiation of ideal moral values, and leads to the spiritual satisfaction of worship, the experience of divine companionship. God consciousness includes the mind, the soul, and the spirit through the realization of the idea of God, the ideal of God, and the spirit reality of God. The experience of God consciousness remains the same throughout history, even though the theological definition of God changes with each advancing epoch. A human mind that possesses the capacity to distinguish right from wrong and to worship God, in union with the divine adjuster, is all that is required to initiate the existence of an immortal soul. Eternal survival is wholly dependent on the choice of the mortal being. Survival is assured when the mind, soul, and adjuster together believe in God and desire to be like him. Personality, bestowed by God the Father, is one of the incomprehensible mysteries of the universe. Capacity for divine personality is inherent in the adjuster, and capacity for human personality is potential in the cosmic mind endowment of the human being. Mortal personality is observable as a functional reality only after the mortal mind is touched by the adjuster. The material personality and the pre-personal adjuster together can create an immortal soul. Mortal man alone either wills or inhibits the creation of this surviving self. No other being or agency in the universe can interfere with the sovereignty of mortal free will regarding eternal survival, and no creature can be coerced into the eternal adventure against his will. The Universal Father is personally conscious of all personalities at all levels of self-conscious existence. As gravity is circuited in the Isle of Paradise, as mind is circuited in the conjoint actor, and as spirit is circuited in the Eternal Son, so is personality circuited and centered in the Universal Father. Paper 6. The Eternal Son. The Eternal Son is the original Son of God, the second person of deity, and the second great source and center. The Son is the spiritual center of the universe government and the personal manifestation of God the Father in the universe. The Son co-creates with the Father and shares the sonship experience with all other created beings. He loves us as both Father and brother. Mercy is the essence of the Eternal Son's spiritual character. He reveals the love of God to the universes. All spiritual beings are responsive to the drawing power of the Eternal Son. He is omnipotent in the spiritual realm. Although the Son does not personally function in the physical domains, his omnipresence constitutes the spiritual unity and cohesion of all creation. The spirit of the Eternal Son is with us and around us, but not within us as is the thought adjuster. The indwelling Father fragment adjusts the human mind to divine attitudes, and such a mind becomes increasingly responsive to the spiritual drawing power of the Son. Personality is the exclusive gift of the Universal Father. The Son gives origin to a vast spirit host, but he creates personality only in conjunction with the Father or the conjoint creator. The Son's personality is divine and absolute. It cannot be fragmented. The spirit fragment of the Father dwells within us, the spirit of the Son surrounds us, and the two forever work as one for our spiritual advancement. The Eternal Son is spirit and has mind, but not a spirit or mind which mortal mind can comprehend. The kind of mind that allies with spirit is not comparable to either material mind or mind that coordinates matter and spirit. The Son's mind is unlike any other in the universe except the Father's. The Eternal Son is wholly spiritual. Since mortals are nearly entirely material, human understanding of the Son must await attainment of increased spiritual insight. The Son is a merciful minister, a divine spirit, and a spiritual power and personality. The Son is the sum of the first source and center, divested of all which is non-personal, extra-divine, non-spiritual, and purely potential. As God is the Universal Father, the Son is the Universal Mother. The Father and Son are separate individuals, but in the administration of the universes they are so interrelated that it is not always possible to distinguish between them. God is the initiating thought and the Son is the expression, the Word. The Father is the bestower of human personality. The Son is the pattern of mortal personality attainment. The Spirit is the source of the mortal mind. The Son is approachable through his paradise sons and through the patient ministry of the creatures of the infinite Spirit. Throughout the local universe experience, a Creator Son will compensate for the inability of mortals to appreciate the significance of the Eternal Son in paradise. As we progress toward paradise, we will enjoy an ever-enlarging comprehension of the Eternal Son. Paper 7. Relation of the Eternal Son to the Universe. The Eternal Son upholds the vast creation of spirit realities and spiritual beings. He is the sovereign of the spiritual universe because he controls the spiritual gravity circuit. Spiritual gravity functions independently of time and space. It is unreduced by time delays or space diminution. Sin and rebellion may interfere with the operation of a local universe, but nothing can suspend the spiritual gravity of the Eternal Son. The spirit gravity circuit creates cohesion within the universe as a whole, as well as between individuals and groups. The spiritual gravity circuit is the secret of the paradise ascension of surviving mortals. As time passes, ascenders become progressively less subject to material gravity and more responsive to spirit gravity. The spirit gravity circuit literally pulls the mortal soul paradise-ward. This circuit is also the basic channel for the transmission of prayers from the human mind to the consciousness of deity. On paradise, the eternal Son's presence is spiritually absolute. He is not personally present in the super-universes. His administration there is not discernible by created beings. In the local universes, the eternal Son is present through the persons of the paradise creator sons. The ascension plan for material beings is a joint creation of the Father and the Son. The universal plan for the creation, evolution, ascension, and perfection of all creatures embraces three correlated undertakings. The universal Father bestows thought adjusters on material will creatures and endows them with personality. The eternal Son bestows his creator sons upon the evolutionary universes to manifest the love of the Father and the mercy of the Son to all creatures. The infinite Spirit operates a tremendous enterprise of mercy ministry to all mortals. The Father, Son, and Spirit cooperate in the work of creation, control, evolution, revelation, administration, and if necessary, restoration and rehabilitation of the ascending creatures of the universes. The eternal Son cannot directly contact human beings, but he does draw near them by gradually downstepping himself. The eternal Son and the creator sons can bestow themselves on lower order of created beings to share the experiences of intelligent creatures of the universes. Incarnation is the technique by which the Son escapes from the fetters of absolute personality. The eternal Son's mercy and service characterize all orders of descending sons of God. When the Father and the Son jointly project a new personal thought, this idea is instantly personalized as a new paradise creator son. In spirit and nature, each paradise son is a perfect portrait of the original Son. All sons of God who originate in the paradise deities are in continuous communication with the eternal Son. The eternal Son has perfect knowledge concerning the activities of all orders of paradise sons, just as he has knowledge regarding everything of spiritual value existing in the hearts of all creatures in time and eternity. The eternal Son is a complete, exclusive, universal, and final revelation of the Spirit and personality of God. He and the Father are one. In divine personality they are coordinate, in spiritual nature they are equal, and in divinity they are identical. Paper 8. The Infinite Spirit. The time-bound mind of man must have a starting point for visualizing universe history. While a portrayal of sequential origin of deity is helpful to the mortal mind as an explanation of the relationship of deities, such a condescension does not preclude the fact that all three have existed eternally without beginning or end. The members of the Trinity are distinct individuals in eternal association. If we imagine that God the Father is thought and God the Son is word, then God the Spirit is action. In the instant that the Father and Son together conceived of infinite action, the infinite Spirit sprang fully formed into being. The existence of the infinite Spirit set the stage of space for the drama of creation. In the instant of his creation, 1 billion perfect spheres materialized. The central universe of Havona was then embraced by physical and spiritual gravities, and the soil of life prepared for consciousness of mind manifest in the intelligence circuits of the God of action. Upon these seeds of potential, creature personality appeared, and the presences of the paradise deities filled organized space and began to draw all things paradise-ward. It is proper to name the third person of deity the infinite Spirit, but material creatures may also conceive of him as the conjoint creator, the infinite reality, the universal organizer, and the personality coordinator. He discloses the Father's infinity in the Son's mercy. He executes the purposes of the Father's Son. Ever and always, the infinite Spirit is a mercy minister. As the sons reveal the love of God, the Spirit reveals his mercy. The Father delegates everything possible to the Son. Likewise, the Son bestows all possible authority to the Spirit. Every post-Havona universe in existence was planned and created by partnership of the Son and the Spirit. The Spirit pledges all of his resources to the Father and the Son. He has dedicated all that he has to the plan of drawing all creatures to paradise. The infinite Spirit is devoted to fostering the ascension of material creatures, especially through the persons of the creative daughters, the local universe mother spirits. The essence of the Spirit's divine character is everlasting ministry to mind. God is love, the Son is mercy, and the Spirit is the ministry of divine love and endless mercy to all creation. The Spirit is love applied to the individual minds of all the children of every universe. The infinite Spirit is omnipresent. He is a universe presence, an eternal action, a cosmic power, a holy influence, a universal mind, and a true and divine personality. He is the Spirit whom all ascenders must attain before they approach the Father through the Son. In the administration of the universe, the Father, Son, and Spirit are forever one, perfectly associated in the service of creation. Paper 9. Relation of the infinite Spirit to the universe. The third source and center is responsive to both spiritual and material reality. He is the universal coordinator, the correlator of all reality. The infinite Spirit functions whenever energy and spirit associate. No reality can escape eventual relationship with him. Agents of the infinite Spirit ceaselessly manipulate forces and energies throughout the universes. The infinite Spirit pervades all space. He is omnipresent without qualification, but is omnipotent only in the domain of mind. The infinite Spirit possesses the unique power of anti-gravity, which he transmits to certain of his higher creatures. He also has powers that neutralize energy and transcend force by slowing energy to the point of materialization. The conjoint actor manipulates the forces and energies of paradise, thus bringing into existence the universal and absolute mind. The conjoint creator is not the source of energy. Rather, he is the manipulator of energy. He has created power control creatures, physical controllers, power directors, and power centers who regulate and stabilize physical energies. These material energies are dependent on the absoluteness of the eternal isle. Paradise is the pattern of infinity, and the God of action activates that pattern. Energy is receptive and responsive to mind. Mind can be superimposed on energy, but does not need to be added to pure spirit because spirit is innately conscious. The insight of spirit transcends the consciousness of mind. Cosmic force responds to mind as cosmic mind responds to spirit. Mind establishes relationships between energy and spirit that suggest a mutual kinship in eternity. The third source and center bestows mind and is infinite in mind. If the universe should grow endlessly, his mind potential would remain adequate to endow limitless numbers of creatures with suitable minds. Through his associates, the third source ministers to all minds on all spheres. He is personally conscious of every intellect in all of creation. The conjoint creator is the ancestor of the cosmic mind. He completely controls the universal mind circuit. The human mind is an individual portion of the cosmic mind bestowed in the local universe by a creative mother spirit. The infinite spirit is the perfect expression of the mind of the creator to all creatures, just as the supreme being is the evolving expression of the minds of all creatures to the creator. The conjoint actor coordinates all levels of universe actuality through the phenomenon of universe reflectivity. He has the power to see, hear, sense, and know all things as they transpire, and to reflect this knowledge to any desired point. Reflectivity is the most complex interassociation of phases of existence and creation. There is a unique unification of spirit, energy, and mind in reflectivity which enables the universe rulers to know about remote conditions throughout the universes instantaneously. Reflectivity appears to be omniscient within the limits of the experiential finite. It may represent the emergence of the consciousness of the Supreme Being. The infinite spirit transmits many of his powers to subordinate personalities, including the 7 master spirits of paradise and the local universe creative spirits. The third source is further represented in the universes by a vast array of spirits, messengers, teachers, adjudicators, helpers, and advisors. This vast family of the infinite spirit is dedicated to administering the love of God and the mercy of the Son to all intelligent creatures in time and space. These spirit beings constitute the living ladder whereby mortals climb from chaos to glory. The Father upholds, the Son reveals, paradise stabilizes, and the Spirit unifies. Paper 10. The Paradise Trinity. The existence of the Paradise Trinity is the one inescapable inevitability in universe affairs. The concept of Trinity combines the absolute unity of deity with the voluntary liberation that is inherent in God's threefold personalization. The universal Father delegates everything possible on other creators or creatures, in every way, in every age, and in every place except in the central universe of his own indwelling. God has reserved for himself only those powers and authorities which seem impossible to delegate, absolute fatherhood and absolute volition. By bestowing absolute personality on the original Son, the first source and center became the universal Father and escaped the fetters of personality absolutism. The creation of the infinite Spirit was a joint effort of the Father and the Son. The Father has no ancestral precedence, but is parent to both the Son and the Spirit. The Son is son to the Father and parent to the Spirit, and the Spirit is the Son of both the Father and the Son. The universal Father, the eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit are unique persons. None is duplicate, each is original, yet all are united. They can act personally and collectively in 7 possible combinations: Father alone, Son alone, Spirit alone, Father-Son, Father-Spirit, Son-Spirit, and Father-Son-Spirit. The 7 available arrangements of divinity make it inevitable that the universe appears in 7 variations of values, meanings, and personalities. The first source performs multiple functions outside of Havona. He acts as creator through the Creator's sons, and as controller through the gravity of paradise. Through the eternal Son he functions as spirit, and through the conjoint actor he functions as mind. He maintains parental contact with all creatures by means of his personality circuit. He acts directly as a person through his divine fragments, the thought adjusters. Only within the Paradise Trinity does the first source function as total deity. The Trinity is an association of persons functioning in a non-personal way, somewhat like the way a corporation functions as a non-personal entity subject to the personal will of its officers. Functions of the Paradise Trinity include justice administration, coordinate actions, and cosmic overcontrol. The Trinity is not merely the sum of the attributes of the Father, Son, and Spirit. All associations, including families, social groups, and the Trinity, enjoy a group potential far in excess of the sum of the component individuals. God is law. Law originates in the first source and center. The administration of law inheres in the second source and center. The revelation of law is the function of the third source and center. The application of law, justice, is carried out by the Trinity. Justice is inherent in the sovereignty of the Paradise Trinity. It is the Trinity's response to the attributes of the Father's love, the Son's mercy, and the Spirit's ministry. Justice is always a group function, never a personal one. Judgment, the application of justice, is the work of the stationary sons of the Trinity, trinitized secrets of supremacy, eternals of days, ancients of days, perfections of days, recents of days, unions of days, faithfuls of days, perfectars of wisdom, divine counselors, and universal censors. These children of the Trinity are specifically designed to represent the collective attitude of deity in the domains of justice. The Supreme Being appears to reflect the attitude of the Trinity, but he is something less than the Trinity functioning in the finite universes. The overcontrol of the Supreme is not wholly predictable. Some events, accidents, disasters, illnesses may or may not be correlated with the workings of the Supreme Being, but it is certain that all difficult situations inevitably accrue to the welfare and progress of the universes. As things appear to mortals, the Paradise Trinity, like the Supreme Being, is concerned only with the total planet, the total universe, the total superuniverse. Human beings will not always be able to understand how the acts of the Trinity work for the good of individual mortals. No single person of the Paradise deities fills all deity potential, but all 3 collectively do. The 3 divine persons activate the pre-personal and existential potential of total deity, the deity absolute. The first, second, and third persons of deity are equal to each other, and they are truly and divinely one.